Kevin Durant's his big long. Big long. He had a press conference yesterday. Not even a press conference. He just had a scrum with reporters talking about nearly getting traded.
Wait, isn't he great at he is so great at answering questions?
He really is.
You may not like he will sit and answer every one of your questions.
He answered just about everything they threw at him yesterday. And
he doesn't berate anybody with their questions. He answers them, and if you don't like but he doesn't sit there and call you names. He answers your question.
The only thing he wouldn't answer yesterday, was whether his relationship with the front office and management has changed as a result of what happened last week. He said, I kind of want to keep that part private. But
he said, I also don't really deal with those guys very much.
He did, but it's the one thing where he just didn't really want to get. In fact, here it is right here, whether his relationship has changed.
I always keep my relationships under wraps. I don't think I should be speaking on our personal relationships out to the public. I don't think that's fair to the people involved in that. So I'm out here to do my job and to do it the best as I can and support everybody in the building as much as I can. And that's always been my goal every time I step in here.
But to your point, everybody who was there yesterday, like I said, whether it was Kellen Olson from ArizonaSports.com, brought to you by Y-Refi, or whether it was Gerald Bourguet or anybody else, they all kind of had the same tone that Kevin Durant was trying to diffuse. He really could have been aggressive yesterday. He could have given you, some material, and he didn't. Everything it was hey, look, man, this comes with the territory. This comes with the job. I got to go out there and play. We got to go out there and win,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. None of which will stop speculation about whether the Suns will try to do this again with Kevin Durant this summer. And really, that's less of a Kevin Durant thing and more of a team thing, as we've talked about a lot here on Burns Gambo. We expect Kevin Durant to do Kevin Durant things, to be the Kevin Durant player that he's been. But if they don't win enough games, it might be the only card that they have to play this offseason. So if they play it, where could he go? And you included a story in your email today that really went through a whole bunch of teams that legitimately could be interested in Kevin Durant. And there was Minnesota was mentioned in there.
Yeah.
Houston was mentioned in there. Dallas was mentioned in there. There were others that were mentioned, but there's certainly, as long as he continues to play well, and there's no reason to think that he won't, there's going to be a ton of suitors for him this offseason.
A ton.
There's zero debate.
A ton, because of his level of greatness and still playing as one of the top players in the league. It was Kevin Durant trade, what summer landscape looks like for the Suns after near deals at deadline. If the Suns continue down this path and things don't change, it's almost like, you remember the movie Scrooge?
Scrooge?
Yeah. Remember with George C. Patton? What was it called?
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott.
Who played Patton. Yeah. No,
George C. Scott.
It's just called Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Christmas Carol, right.
Yes.
If you don't change, this is the path. You're going to end up in this grave, lonely, and people are going to sell all your betting. And they're going to, that's the path that we're heading on.
Yes.
Right now, the Suns are George C. Scott.
There are lots of versions of that movie.
I know. There's
actors.
one from the 40s that's pretty good.
There was even one with the Muppets made a Christmas Carol.
I wouldn't watch that. But my point, I wouldn't watch the Muppets. I'm not going to watch the Muppets.
You don't like
I don't
the
watch
Muppets?
The Simpsons. I don't watch the Muppets. I don't watch cartoons.
I'm
a grown up.
The Muppets are
The Muppets are puppets.
I'm a grown up.
Well, technically Muppets, but either way.
Grown-ups don't watch cartoons?
No.
Oh, yes, they do. Oh, yes, they do.
They make cartoons for grown-ups.
Yes,
then those people have not really grown up. I'm going to get to my point.
Please do.
Scrooge is going down this path. It's kind of like the Sun's path right now. You're headed towards that lonely grave. You're headed there. People are going to sell your betting. They're not going to remember you. And then but there is a path to change it and to help Tiny Tim and to give out presents to everybody and help the poor.
And for Kevin Durant at the end of the season to say, God bless us, everyone.
Right.
There's a path. What day is it?
There's a path.
It's the NBA trade deadline, sir. Go get me a Kevin Durant, the largest one in the window. And make sure you deliver it to Matt Ishbia because he deserves it.
And if you do it quickly, I'll give you a shilling. Make it in 5 minutes, I'll give you 5 shillings.
I'll give you $52 million if you go do it.
Right. You're laughing at me. I have a good point here.
You do.
With my analogy.
It's just fun.
You could change this path.
We just got to have some fun around the guy who doesn't like Muppets. I think you need more fun in your life. That's all. Muppets are fun. Go ahead. You're making a great point.
Scrooge, we're going down this path. It's there. It's inevitable. You're heading down there. You can change it. You've got 30 games to change it and the playoffs. If you change it, nobody is saying that the Suns can't keep this thing together. Nobody's saying you can't. It would take a minor miracle. They would have to somehow figure out a way, after being a 500 basketball team for 52 games, to figure out a way to play at a level that we haven't seen them play at before and then upset some teams in the playoffs. It would take a minor miracle. But if you do that, you will have changed the course. It will be hard. If this team eliminates Oklahoma City in the first round, or Memphis, or Houston,
Well, you might keep it together.
you might be like, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
It's funny. It's a new way of looking at it. We've said for a long time, you have to get to the conference finals. You have to get to the conference finals. If you beat Oklahoma City in the first round, do you? I don't know. Now that gives me a new way of thinking about it. Do you have to get to the conference finals to justify keeping this together?
You're going to have to do something miraculous.
Well, beating Oklahoma City in the first round would be pretty damn close to a miracle.
It would have to take something miraculous to be able to change the course that they're on right now.
All right, Ebenezer.
It's hard. It's probably not going to happen, but it's not impossible.
But here's my point, Ebenezer.
Okay.
And that is that Kevin Durant can't really do anything to change the path. They have to do something as a team. Kevin
because
Durant,
it's not Kevin Durant's fault. It's not
right.
It's
He's
the
gonna,
team's not winning.
Kevin Durant, I guarantee you, the rest of the season when he plays, he's going to average the same numbers that he's out. He's going to be 28, 29 points a game, 5 or 6 rebounds, 5 or 6 assists. He's going to be Kevin Durant. He's going to shoot 42% and 53% from the floor and all the things that he's done. None of that's going to change. They have to perform better. Now, here's my question to you and for us.
Yes, they'll give Bob Cratchit more days off.
No, it's not that. I would assume if we were handpicking where to trade Kevin Durant to, we would choose Houston because they have your draft picks.
Yeah, the teams mentioned in this story, what summer landscape looks like, is the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, Houston, the Grizzlies. And they kind of go into like a deep dive on each team. And here's what they said about Houston. Because they said Houston had no obvious way of matching money without including their point guard, Fred VanVleet. But they go, no team gains more financial flexibility on the trade market than Houston this summer. VanVleet has a team option, so the Rockets can conceivably let him go to create cap space. Jalen Green and Alperin, I always say his last name wrong. Şengün. Both start their rookie extensions, meaning they can be traded at much higher cap figures. So there's a lot, and then you start to look at picks. They'll also have a better idea of how valuable the future Suns picks are. Say, for instance, the Suns have a path to turning Durant into a great package of young players. Suddenly, the idea of controlling Phoenix's picks doesn't look as valuable, so perhaps the Rockets decide that moving those picks while their value remains high is a priority. So the Rockets are mentioning it. They also mentioned the Lakers. They mentioned Orlando. They mentioned the Sixers. It's like me and you talked about this the other day off air. I don't know that we're going to go a week from now into the summer without Kevin Durant trade rumors coming up from somewhere.
Where do we not want him to go? Do we care? If it's gotten to the point where it's time to move him, because it's the only move you've got, do we care where he goes, knowing that the Suns are probably going into reboot mode?
You know me. I could care less where you trade anybody. I just want to get the best deal.
Okay.
I'm not a believer in don't trade that guy here or don't trade that guy. I'm looking if I'm making a trade of Kevin Durant, I'm basically saying I don't think I'm going to win a championship in the next 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So by the time I am ready to compete, he's going to be out of the league.
So the answer is no.
The answer is no. Make the best deal you can make.
I don't think I would agree. I mean, I'd hate for him to go to certain teams that I love to hate, looking at you Lakers. But for the most part, I really, because you're right. The minute you trade Kevin Durant, you're kind of saying for the next couple of years, we're probably not going to be elite. In fact, I know we're not. We're not going to be elite. We're not going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. We're kind of retooling things around here. So what do I care where he goes in that moment? I don't. I think Houston would be, if we're just talking in general,
your draft picks back.
Houston's the place for him to go because you get hopefully some of your draft picks back if he were to go there.
Okay.
Beyond that, I wouldn't care.
Bottom line, did my analogy work?
It did.
Did it work?
But I really think
you all agree.
We're just upset that you don't like the Muppets version of A Christmas Carol.
The Muppets are great. The Muppets are so funny.
I don't watch the Muppets. I don't watch cartoons.
Man.
I think the last cartoon I watched was probably Wallace and Gromit.
Also
It's been
great.
a while.
Great.
Yeah.
Keep it up with the stop motion and the Muppets.
I don't have little kids anymore.
So you don't.
I mean, I used to watch Dora the Explorer. I watched all that stuff.
Yeah, we understand
iCarly.
that.
I know iCarly.
iCarly wasn't a cartoon, but okay. I mean, my wife and I still go to Pixar movies. They're still great. We still Inside Out 2 was awesome last summer. I don't know, man. The Muppets are. You're kind of messing with my childhood on the Muppets, man. I grew up on the Muppet Show. I love the Muppet Show.
Oh, you're still a kid at heart.
Yeah.
He still thinks about Fraggle Rock from time to time.
I do. I guess I'm still a kid. Well, your analogy worked. Don't worry.
There you go. All right, there you go.
Your place in the Analogy Hall of Fame.
It's all that matters.
Is secure.
It's all that really matters.
It's really all
Right next to Bat Out of Lightning.
Thanks for watching Burns Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.